dozen or so years ago, Halloween consisted largely of kids wandering neighborhoods dressed as ghosts, witches, and warlocks. And over the years, various fictional characters have been brought back from the dead, Frankenstein being one of the best known. But recently, spurred by Hollywood and video games, our imagination has turned to a new type of undead creature, the zombie. No matter what the children choose, it seems that many fundamentalist Christians are constantly upset by the topic itself. But the latest research shows that the hate of the zombie may date back to much older times. Most of us think of them as related to the same cultures that brought us witch doctors and voodoo practices, but as it turns out, there are other sources for similar beliefs. In fact, the Draugr of Norse Icelandic sagas may have a better resemblance to some of the creatures haunting our modern nightmares, or at least those of our children. Unlike the more familiar island stories where an evil spell is needed to summon the dead from their graves, the Icelandic varieties could act of their own volition to frighten us. Zombies, as with all such mythic creatures, have a non-obvious technique for being dealt with. We all know, should we encounter a vampire, that we must ward him off with a crucifix or catch him sleeping during the day and drive a wooden stake through his heart. Nothing to it, really, if you stay prepared. Zombies, however, must have their heads severed and, for good measure, must then be essentially cremated, preferably with the severed head atop the backside of the corpse. Scandinavian archaeologists have in fact found evidence that these procedures may have actually taken place, just as we know that at one time there were poor innocent people being burned as witches. The Norse variety of zombie has been lurking in literature throughout the years and only recently gained widespread popularity. It may simply be the influence of Hollywood on our imaginations, or it might be the right symbolism for the times we are in, where many see the problems we face as almost insurmountable. No sooner have you knocked down one than another pops up to take its place. So now to the crucifix, wooden stake, and hammer, we should all add a good axe or sword and some kindling to our survival kits. And also don't forget matches and a reliable lighter. As the Vatican began its new judicial year, the official promoter of justice, Gian Piero Milano, read from a 50-page report. The issue which has garnered the most attention was an admission that at least 2 cases of child pornography found within the confines of the Vatican have been uncovered. One of those cases, it was later leaked, involved former Archbishop Josef Wysłowski, who was accused of child rape in several countries and who has been placed under house arrest by the papal government. Other crimes mentioned in the report include embezzlement at the papal bank, an attempt to smuggle drugs into the Vatican using the mail service. The Vatican has a prison, however, it gets little use. In fact, in all of 2014, despite the child pornography, embezzlement, and drug activity the Vatican acknowledges, and the outside claims that there may have been an underground Vatican sex slave ring, the prison was only used to hold 6 persons, 2 of whom were protesters guilty of little more than trespassing. Marcello de Finizio, an Italian man who scaled the basilica, and a feminine protester, Ayana Asdanova, who demonstrated topless at the official Vatican holiday crash. Marvel Comics describes their new superhero Miss Marvel with the following. Kamala Khan is just an ordinary girl from Jersey City until she is suddenly empowered with extraordinary gifts. But who truly is the all-new Miss Marvel? Teenager, Muslim, inhuman? Find out as she takes the Marvel Universe by storm. However, by the time the premiere issue of this first Islamic superhero has debuted on newsstands the 5th of February, she had already made a real-life appearance thwarting injustice on the streets of San Francisco. Some unknown person or group has been applying large cutouts of the character to cover over dubiously worded, ethnically charged placards on city buses. The ads, which are placed by a group calling itself the American Freedom Defense Initiative, feature an image of Hitler conversing with Haj Amin al-Husseini, a contemporary of Hitler's and former Grand Mufti of Jerusalem. It also features the dubious claim that 2/3 of all U.S. foreign aid goes to countries that hate Jews because it's in the Quran. The large stickers of Miss Marvel cover the image and feature the slogan, "Calling all bigotry busters, stop the hate." Smaller stickers of heart shapes are also used to cover the sign's call to stop the aid to Islamic countries.